What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 11:57 a.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Iran. So, apparently, there were two explosions at a service celebrating the death of Qasem Soleimani. He was the Iranian general that was assassinated by Trump 3 years ago. So they were celebrating the 3 year anniversary of his assassination in Iran, and two explosions rocked the service. And apparently, at least 103 people have been killed so far and 188 injured. And Iran has declared a national day of mourning, I believe, for today or tomorrow. So this is absolutely huge news, guys. We already knew that there would be a risk of attacks on U.S. forces and Israel and shipping lanes in the Middle East today because of this anniversary of Soleimani's assassination, plus Israel assassinating the second in command of Hamas the other day. Now the risk is just off the charts with these two explosions going off at this service. And as of the filming of this video, just before noon, January the 3rd, 103 people have been killed. Okay. So I have a really strange feeling that this is not organic. If you guys know what I mean, that this is a false flag by the Iranian government. And basically, the Iranian government planted these explosives to cause more hatred of America and Israel in Iran to justify further attacks and operations on the West. Okay. So this is very, very concerning, guys. I want to read to you some more detailed information about this. Two explosions were heard in quick succession near the tomb of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani on the anniversary of his killing in a U.S. drone strike in Iraq. There was a huge explosion heard near the Saheb al-Zaman Mosque, where the storied head of foreign operations of the IRGC is buried in Kerman in southern Iran, the television first reported. A second explosion was heard near the Saheb al-Zaman Mosque, they added shortly afterward. So the first explosion was near the tomb of Soleimani in Kerman, and then there was a second explosion at a mosque nearby. Okay, so very, very concerning. A pair of bombs that detonated near the grave of slain Iranian General Qasem Soleimani were set off by remote control, Iran's Tasnim news agency reports, quoting informed sources. Two bags carrying bombs went off at the site, says the news outlet, which is considered close to Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. So they're blaming Mossad, but I don't think it was Mossad. I think that this was clearly, in my opinion, false flag by the Iranian government. This was all set up on purpose. And the Iranian Mayor Agency quoted the Iranian President Raisi saying, "Revenge against those behind the terrorist attack in Kerman is inevitable and final." So the president of Iran is calling for revenge against those responsible. And guess who they're going to say that was? They're going to say it was America and Israel. And Iran's vice president, Makber, said that the pure blood of innocent people was spilled in Kerman by the agents of the Zionist entity and its supporters. So this is huge news, guys. And the Israeli foreign minister said he spoke with the British foreign minister on the need to increase international pressure on Iran. And the Iranian defense minister, Mohammad Reza Ashtiani, commenting on Israel's assassination of Hamas deputy leader Salih al-Aruri, said Washington has destabilized regional equations and the consequences of this matter will backfire on it, and such strategic mistakes will cause tension in the region. So the Iranian defense minister blaming the US for destabilizing the Middle East and that there's going to be consequences from the assassination of the second in command of Hamas. He also defended the deployment of the Iranian Navy in the Red Sea. He said, "Our presence in all waters is a security building presence, and we do not place any limits on ourselves, especially in this sensitive area. We are fully monitoring developments. Yemen is definitely supported by Iran, and we support them in all aspects, but they are independent." So, if you guys are unaware, Iran deployed a warship to the Red Sea just a few days ago. And obviously, the U.S. and U.S. allies have over 20 warships in the region. So that's very concerning. And the U.S. military base Al Qadra in northeastern Iraq was attacked by Iranian proxies today, and the Houthis claim attack on a French container ship in the Red Sea. Yemen's Iran backed Houthis say they targeted the CMA-CGM Tej container ship in the Red Sea, claiming it was bound for Israel. Houthis military spokesman Yahya Saree made the claim in a televised speech a day after the U.S. Central Command said the group had fired 2 anti-ship ballistic missiles in the southern Red Sea. And U.S. Central Command said Houthis' illegal actions threaten innocent sailors and navigation security. And if you missed my emergency alert from New Year's Eve, I reported that the UK and the US are in final stages of preparing for a massive strike on Yemen. Okay. So I think that's coming, guys. Want to read to you this statement that was released by U.S. Central Command on January 2nd at approximately 9:30 p.m. Yemen time. Iranian-backed Houthis fired 2 anti-ship ballistic missiles from Houthi-controlled areas in Yemen into the southern Red Sea. Multiple commercial ships in the area reported the impact of the anti-ship ballistic missiles into the surrounding water, though none have reported any damage. These illegal actions endangered the lives of dozens of innocent mariners and continue to disrupt the free flow of international commerce. This is the 24th attack against merchant shipping in the southern Red Sea since November the 15th. Okay, 24th attack, guys. Okay, and look at what people are writing here. Look at the comments. One guy here wrote, "And yet we do nothing. America has never looked weaker." Another guy wrote, "How much longer are we going to play this game of target practice? Ships are rerouting around Africa and mariners' lives are at stake here." Okay, so the American people are getting annoyed by the weakness that the Biden administration is showing in the face of these attacks. I mean, we have all the equipment and firepower necessary in the region to deal with all of these threats at once. Okay, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Iranian proxies. Okay, and we're not even dealing with one of them. Okay, it's very sad. And the spokesman for the Yemen Armed Forces gave a statement today. He said the Yemeni Armed Forces confirmed that they will continue to prevent Israeli ships or those heading to the ports of Israel from navigating in the Red and Arab Seas until they bring in the food and medicine our brothers in the Gaza Strip need. The Yemeni Armed Forces confirmed the continuation of shipping traffic in the Red and Arabian Seas to all destinations around the world except the ports of Israel. The Yemeni Armed Forces also confirmed that any American aggression will not go unanswered or punished. The Yemeni Armed Forces warned the American enemy or others against any attack or action that represents the protection of commercial ships that go to the Zionist entity. Okay, so the spokesman for the Yemen Armed Forces basically threatening America here, saying that if America gets involved and they attack Yemen, then they will respond and punish America somehow. And so Iran is now threatening the U.S. as well. So lots of tension in the region, guys. The Middle East is on fire right now. And there's apparently a general mobilization in the West Bank to attack Israel today. The Al Aqsa Martyrs Brigade wings in the West Bank declared general mobilization in response to the assassination of Al Aruri. So this is crazy, guys. Okay, we got Hezbollah saying that they're going to attack Israel because of the assassination of Al Aruri. We have the Al Aqsa Martyrs Brigade in the West Bank declaring general mobilization. We have the Iranians, vowing to attack the U.S. and Israel and punish those responsible for the bombings today. We have the Iranian militias in Iraq and Syria. We have the Houthis. I mean, it's just spiraling out of control, guys. Okay. And the Israeli army is currently on high alert along the border with Lebanon. The leader of Hezbollah is going to be giving a speech today, and I will be monitoring that speech, and I will report what he says later on this evening. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell below this video so you get notified when I post these updates. And Hezbollah claims it fired a Birkin heavy short-range ballistic missile at a military position of the Israeli Defense Forces in northern Israel near the border town of Malkiah today. So Hezbollah claiming they fired a heavy short-range missile at Israeli forces today in northern Israel. And Hezbollah has targeted gatherings of a number of Israeli soldiers in the vicinity of Doviv barracks with a large missile attack and achieved direct hits, according to Hezbollah. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a 60% off sale for the end of 2023. And they're also doing a 25% sale on their 4-week emergency food supply. To get these deals, you have to go to preparewithnyprepper.com. The link is in the description below this video. And their 4-week emergency food supply is contained within 2 rugged, watertight buckets. Free shipping is included. So you have a month's worth of food packed into just 2 buckets. If you have to bug out, you can easily take those buckets with you. If you live in a small apartment, you can easily find a space to store 2 buckets, and you're going to be set for at least a month. And this food is freeze dried, so it has a 25-year shelf life. It includes breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks. And My Patriot Supply is also running a 60% off end of the year sale. And to take advantage of that, you have to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. It's at the top of the page. You click on that and it'll take you to their general store. And you'll see here all kinds of prepping and survival products. They have MREs. They have 2,400 calorie emergency ration bars. They have canned heat and cooking fuel. They have potassium iodide, survival seeds, solar generators, solar panels, anything you can imagine. It's all in here. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of their 1-month emergency food supply and to also take advantage of their 60% off sale across their entire store. And I'll leave a link in the description below this video. And Israel retaliated with strikes against Hezbollah today in southern Lebanon amid persistent cross-border fire. The IDF says it struck a Hezbollah cell in southern Lebanon, and a fighter jet hit a site belonging to Hezbollah. The airstrike comes amid repeated cross-border attacks carried out by Hezbollah after a top Hamas terrorist in Lebanon was killed in an airstrike a day ago. The IDF says several missiles were fired from Lebanon at northern Israel in the last few hours, and troops are shelling the launch sites with artillery. So it's really escalating on the Israeli-Lebanon border, guys, okay? Really escalating there. I think we're going to have a full-blown war between Israel and Lebanon very, very soon. And Israeli officials have held clandestine talks with the African nation of Congo and several others for the potential acceptance of Gaza immigrants. Congo will be willing to take in migrants, and we're in talks with others, a senior source in the security cabinet tells Shalom Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi quotes Intelligence Minister Gila Gamliel saying at the Knesset yesterday, at the end of the war, Hamas rule will collapse. There are no municipal authorities. The civilian population will be entirely dependent on humanitarian aid. There will be no work, and 60% of Gaza's agricultural land will become security buffer zones. Okay, so looks like Israel is going to try to move some of the Palestinians to the Congo. Very interesting. How true that is, we'll have to wait and see. France made clear that they clearly oppose the idea of forced displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. French representative to the UN, Nicolas de Rivière, said France will not support the forced displacement of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip by Israel. And EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell says the international community must impose a solution to the conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. What we have learned over the last 30 years and what we are learning now with the tragedy experienced in Gaza is that the solution must be imposed from outside, Borrell told diplomats in Portugal. Peace will only be achieved in a lasting manner if the international community gets involved intensely to achieve it and imposes a solution, he says, pointing to the United States, Europe, and Arab countries. So that's absolutely insane, guys. Okay. EU's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, calling for basically a mandatory ceasefire, okay, imposing some kind of a solution. Absolutely crazy, guys. And that is biblical. Okay. The Bible says that Israel will be forced into a treaty, a peace treaty with all of its neighbors. And then a few years after Israel is forced into this treaty, they get attacked by Russia and a coalition of Muslim and Asian countries, okay, in a surprise attack in the Ezekiel 38-39 Magog invasion of Israel. Okay, so everything that's happening now is in line with Bible prophecy. Okay, the end times are here. All right, I'm not saying that we're in the tribulation just yet, but we could be. I mean, who knows? But I mean, things are really accelerating towards the tribulation if we're not in the tribulation yet. I mean, we're heading towards the tribulation at light speed now. The Belgorod governor said Russian air defenses thwarted new Ukrainian missile attacks, and Ukraine launched another round of missile attacks on Belgorod last night after midnight Eastern time. So there were two attacks on Belgorod last night and yesterday evening. Okay, two separate attacks, and I posted some footage of that in my prior update late last night. And the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal, said Ukraine plans a six-fold increase in military production this year. This means more drones, more shells, more ammunition, and more armored vehicles for our military. Okay, so six-fold increase in military production, guys. That is huge. And Zelensky said that Ukraine is going to draft 500,000 people into the military, and also that Ukraine is building a 1 million drone army, guys. Okay, they're going to have 1 million drones. Okay, and then they're going to swarm Belgorod and all those cities in southwestern Russia. This year is going to be absolutely insane, guys. We're already just the third day into 2024, and look at how crazy things are. Okay, imagine what it's going to be like this summer. I think Ukraine is going to pop off like crazy this year. Because Putin and Zelensky are both on the chopping block. Plus, we have an election this fall. So things are really going to be crazy this year, guys. And the Russian Ministry of Defense said that over the last 24 hours, Russian air defenses intercepted 8 Tochka-U missiles, 2 S-200 missiles, and 34 HIMARS Adler and Vampire missiles, okay, or Alder missiles. I'm sorry, not Adler. So that's a lot, guys. Several dozen missiles being intercepted by the Russian air defenses in the last 24 hours. And Russian authorities are now saying that 4 people were injured after a Russian plane accidentally dropped munitions on a Russian town. Russia's defense ministry said previously yesterday on January 2nd that the munitions had accidentally fallen on the town, but said there was no damage to houses and no injuries. Now they're saying that 4 people were injured. So that's absolutely crazy, guys. Russia basically bombing their own towns, and this is not the first time that happened. Okay, that happens a lot. Uh, during this war in Ukraine, it happened a lot. Polish farmers are going to resume their blockade of the Ukrainian border after a temporary and Polish farmers are planning to resume their blockade of the Ukrainian border after a temporary reprieve. The blockade was temporarily paused on December 24th, but will resume because organizers say that their demands have not been met. And Poland's armed forces deployed 4 F-16 fighter jets to their eastern border yesterday in response to Russia's increased missile attacks on Ukraine. On Tuesday morning, Poland's operational command said in a post on Twitter that 2 pairs of F-16s and an allied air tanker were activated to its eastern border in response to Russia's latest rounds of attacks on Ukraine. And by the way, I have not heard any updates about this missile that flew into Polish territory. I'm thinking now that with that missile, I think Russia wanted to test Poland's air defenses, and maybe they purposely programmed that missile so it would fly into Poland just a little bit and then turn around and leave just enough so Russia could observe what Poland's air defenses are like, because Germany pulled out their Patriot missile batteries from that part of Poland in November, and Russia knows that they did that. So I think they wanted to just see what Poland's air defenses are like without the German air defenses, and they wanted to see how Poland would respond. Okay, recon by fire, essentially. And we have the new foreign minister of Poland and former defense minister of Poland, Radosław Sikorski, saying we should respond to the latest onslaught on Ukraine in language that Putin understands by tightening sanctions so that he cannot make new weapons with smuggled components, and by giving Ukraine long-range missiles that will enable it to take out launch sites and command centers. Wow, guys. The foreign minister of Poland, the new foreign minister, and the former defense minister calling on allies in the West to give Ukraine long-range missiles that will enable them to take out launch sites and command centers basically on Russian soil. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And senior Chinese officials warned Taiwan that the upcoming elections in Taiwan are an important choice between peace and war, prosperity and recession. So that is a pretty ominous warning there, basically telling people in Taiwan to vote for candidates that are pro-China. Very strange. Another 4 Chinese balloons were detected crossing the median line of the Taiwan Strait yesterday, with 3 of them later flying over the island of Taiwan, the Ministry of National Defense of Taiwan said today. Okay, so 4 Chinese balloons crossed over the median line, 3 of them flying over the actual island of Taiwan. And that's in addition to the earlier balloon that flew over Taiwan. So that's a total of 4 balloons that flew over Taiwan yesterday. And 4 people are believed to have been stabbed on a train stopping at Akihabara Station in Japan's capital city of Tokyo and taken to the hospital. Public broadcaster NHK reported on Wednesday, citing local police. NHK said a report was made that a woman was wielding a knife on a train at Akihabara Station. The person believed to have been carrying the knife has been taken into custody, and the police department is investigating. So some strange stabbing situation in Japan at a train station. That could be a possible terror attack. And we've seen a lot of possible terror attacks in the last couple of days. We had that situation in Rochester, New York, in upstate New York, where some guy crashed his vehicle into another vehicle, and his vehicle had 12 gas cans inside. He plowed through a crowd of people shortly after New Year's and crashed his vehicle with 12 gas cans, and somehow that's not considered terrorism. Okay, according to the feds and state and local law enforcement in New York, they're saying, "Oh, this is not terrorism. You nothing to see here, guys. Everything is fine. This guy was just mentally ill or he was drunk. Don't worry about it." Yeah, right. Now we have this stabbing incident in Japan. We had the New Year's Eve incident in Niagara Falls, which authorities said was because of a stuck accelerator pedal, which I don't believe either. Want to just go through some flight paths with you guys. We had a lot of activity around Yemen last night. Here you can see a French aerial refueler that took off from the UAE, and it went all the way to the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, and it did some loops over here. And here's a closer look at those loops it was doing right near the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. Okay, this is a French aerial refueler. These are used heavily in Europe. Anytime Russia launches a missile attack, they deploy these into Poland or into Romania. So the fact that one of these is over here in the Bab al-Mandeb means that something's going on. Okay, and this is probably in response to those anti-ship missiles that were launched, or maybe something different. And here we have an Italian Air Force plane that landed in Djibouti. Very interesting. And here we have a UK KC-2 Voyager, which is an aerial refueler that took off from Cyprus and went all the way to Iraq, central Iraq near Baghdad, and was flying in loops over there. And there was also a US sub-Hunter plane off the coast of Lebanon, okay, right off the coast of Lebanon, doing loops over there. And here we have some footage showing one of the Hezbollah attacks on northern Israel from today. You can see this big plume of smoke here, probably from that Birkin short-range ballistic missile. And a lot of activity in Poland and Lithuania and the Baltic region last night. Here we have a U.S. reconnaissance plane that flew all around Kaliningrad, which is the Russian exclave sandwiched between Lithuania and Poland. It also flew along the Polish-Belarus border. And we also had a sub-Hunter plane that got aerially refueled. It came down from Iceland and got aerially refueled over northwestern Poland. And then that sub-Hunter was patrolling the waters off the coast of Kaliningrad. So here's a look at that sub-Hunter, the P-8 Poseidon, and it was patrolling heavily the coast of Kaliningrad right here. Okay, so NATO is continuing to monitor the Baltic region heavily. And here we have a picture showing German farmers getting ready to launch a massive protest over a diesel tax. And you can see just thousands of tractors here. The German government is planning to impose a tax on diesel vehicles. And most farming vehicles in the world, 90% of them are diesel engine. Okay. So that would affect farmers, obviously. So you have thousands of farmers here with their tractors in Germany. Okay. I believe this protest is going to start on the 8th. So this weekend, we're going to see all these tractors come in from all around Germany, and they're going to gather. I think this is in Berlin, to protest this new diesel tax that the German government wants to impose. And we have that massive sunspot that caused the X 5.0 solar flare over New Year's, rotating towards the Earth-facing side of the sun. You can see right here, sunspot 3536. It's just starting to rotate on the Earth-facing side, okay? And this thing gave off an X 5.0 solar flare, the strongest solar flare since September 10th, 2017. Okay. So the strongest solar flare in over 6 years, and it's now going to be facing us. okay, in the coming days. And they say that this sunspot is very unstable and it could give off more flares. Okay, so within the next week or two, this thing is going to be passing over the Earth facing side, and we could get hit with a massive solar flare, guys, which would cause blackouts, low latitude auroras, communication and radio blackouts. Okay, so that's pretty much all the latest breaking news that I have. Again, major situation developing in Iran. 2 explosions reported at the service for Soleimani. 103 people have been killed as of noon today, and Iran is vowing revenge. Obviously, this was staged, in my opinion, by the Iranian government on purpose, but I'll keep you guys updated. I'll be back this evening with more updates. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until later, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.